thanks very much for the team that put this together, and I really appreciate Professor Mohali and Mike Pierre's time. It's a very relevant topic, very important at this time, but I appreciate them giving up their evening. I think I'd like to first pick up on a couple of points which you and Professor Mohali have raised. The first concept of the inequality. It's not the wealthy who suffer during this time. It's the people who really need service delivery. I think there's a strong link with our industry there. It's also the resilience of the economy. So COVID-19 hit everybody on the entire globe, but the South African economy is particularly bad hit because we're not resilient at this stage because of previous situations. One of which is this endemic corruption. The other thing that the professor picked up on is that, ethics is more than compliance. Ethics is not just adhering to the law or making sure that you don't get caught. That's not ethics. Ethics is going above and beyond. It's going above and beyond company compliance programs. It's going above and beyond the Companies Act. It's going above and beyond the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. It's going above and beyond the Engineering Professions Act. It's actually making sure that the things you do are right consistently. So I think that's a personal thing, but it ties into that understanding of what is ethical leadership? What does it take to be an ethical leader? Why do we need it? And I think that whole concept or the understanding that the people who really suffer are our fellow South Africans. They're, the people who are not getting service delivery, it's as a direct result of corruption. The people who haven't got running water, it's as a direct result of corruption. It's the people who haven't got electricity or housing. We saw very recently in the Zondo Commission that 600 million rand was spent by the Free State Housing Commission, I think it is, and not one house was built because there was a deliberate ploy to defraud the state. When they found out that their funds would be withdrawn because they hadn't been able to spend it, they couldn't spend more than 10% because of other things, which I'd also like to talk about. They decided there was an active decision made to collaborate and then defraud the state. These are the sort of things that are preventing people who need houses getting houses. And again, I connect this very strongly with our profession and with the industry, the engineering and construction industry, because, we have an industry which is able to make such a difference. It's able to really make a difference in people's lives. And we have these challenges and hurdles that even though at national treasury level, they're earmarking enormous amounts of funds for infrastructure, due to, I think, three things: lack of skills and capacity, corruption, and then unethical decision-making. Also in the private sector, I think we mustn't kid ourselves. We mustn't pretend that it's all happening in government. Because of those three things, the money that is being earmarked in the budget and at national treasury level is just not getting to where it needs to be. And I think everyone actually knows that. People do know it. If you read the papers, you understand that the money is earmarked and budgeted. It just doesn't get to where it needs to get to because of all these challenges. So I think we are talking around a similar point here, and I think there's a very strong connection with our profession and with our industry. Corruption's a bit like a tax. It just makes everything more expensive. It's every company who has to tender and then facilitate to get that work, or to pay something to get that work. It's just adding to the cost of infrastructure. It's adding to the cost of that product. So it's almost like a tax. And the cost of corruption represents about 5% of the world's economy. So that's about 30 trillion rand worldwide is lost to corruption. That's a worldwide thing. So that's another element I'd like to bring to this discussion, is that it's a global problem. It's not only South Africa that struggles with corruption. It's a global problem. And if you look at the engineering and construction industry, they lose about 10% every year to corruption. It's about $500 billion US. And it's about 1.5 times the South African GDP. So that gives you an idea of the enormity of the international loss, the global impact of corruption in our industry. It's about $500 billion US every year. So I think it's important to understand it's global. It's not only us who have to deal with it, but absolutely, I think we must understand that, there's a saying that says corruption kills. And the outcome of people putting state money in their pockets and not delivering houses or sanitation or running water is that people are suffering and dying. And that's extremely serious. So corruption kills. And I think we must bear that in mind. The whole ethics initiative that SASI is trying to put together is really trying to push that awareness in our industry, but also that we have a part to play. Engineers obviously have a part to play because they sit as gatekeepers often in these situations. Not always, but they're often present when tenders are awarded or adjudicated. They're often present when specifications are drawn up. They are signing off payment certificates or authorizing payment of various infrastructure projects. So, engineers, by the fact that they have that monopoly on, and I know monopoly is not a very popular term, but we have a monopoly on a certain skill set. And so we are at various levels of authorization in both the public and private sector. And I do believe that if we keep our eyes open and if we are vigilant, that we can make an impact. There may only be a small number of registered engineers, but I believe we can make an impact because of the skill set that we carry and the responsibility that we carry. So I think those are the main issues I'd like to just bring to the table this evening, and we can unpack those as we continue.